I'm going shopping with Erin. I won't be back until evening. So, Kelly, you can feel free to take a break and relax. I read the text from my mother-in-law. I had planned on dropping Erin off at her place while I treated myself to a salon visit. I tried reaching Susan, but my calls went unanswered, probably because she was driving. That's when I remembered the GPS tag I had affixed to Erin's clothes as a safety measure. On checking the app, I noticed the GPS moving at a speed consistent with cars heading in a specific direction. From the trajectory, it seemed like they were heading to the local department store. The GPS signal then halted in what looked like a department store's parking lot. Staring at the GPS, I exclaimed, "No way!" If my suspicions were correct, I'd never forgive Susan. I hastily hailed a taxi and sped off to the parking lot. I'm Kelly, a full-time mom since our little Erin was born. I had hoped to juggle work and childcare, but knowing my husband John's irregular work hours at the office, I quit my job. As expected, post Erin's birth, John was swamped. Even on weekends, leaving all household and childcare duties to me. Around the same time, my mother-in-law Susan retired, having nothing particular to do and plenty of time on her hands. Seeing my struggle with Erin alone, she decided to lend a hand, often dropping by our house. Kelly, I'm here to help. I'll hold Erin so you can get some chores done, she would say, reaching for Erin. Hold on, her neck isn't stable yet. She can't be held upright. Didn't we discuss this yesterday? Oh, did we? Isn't it good to start neck exercises early though? That's not how it works. She had this habit of taking care of Erin as she saw fit, making it hard for me to trust her. I figured she must have some experience from raising John, right? So, during a visit to my in-laws, I quietly asked my father-in-law, did Susan handle John the same way when he was a baby? To this, he replied with a wry smile. She always prioritized work. When John was born, she was keen on getting back to work immediately, leaving me to handle all the baby duties. She did? I've always had my own design office, which allowed me to adjust my time. So, she hardly took care of him. Now understanding why she seemed clueless about childcare, I hesitantly suggested a childcare book to her. Why don't you give this a read? It's got a lot of useful stuff. She gave the book a dismissive look. Who has time to read such a hefty book? You can find everything on the internet these days. It's much faster to search as needed. Her response left me unable to argue further. She continued to care for Erin her way, never bothering to look up any childcare advice. Kelly, I'm here to help. Oh, is she crying? Yes, I was making her food and couldn't get to her. Can you please check her diaper? When did you last change it? Right before I started making food, but she might have gone again. Oh, okay. After a casual diaper check, she shrugged and said, Yeah, she did go, but I think it's still okay. What do you mean it's okay? Look here. She gestures towards a diaper package. It says it absorbs twice the amount. If you've just changed it, it should be okay for another round, right? But if she's crying, we should change it right away. And saving money and time on childcare is important, you know? Babies cry, that's their job. Ignoring me, she mutters and starts to soothe a crying Erin. But she won't stop crying if she's uncomfortable. Finally, I tell her, I'll change a diaper. Can you help with the baby food? All you have to do is divide the soup in this pot into small containers. Oh, you're fussing over the diaper? You're so uptight, Kelly. Ignoring her jibe, I change Erin's diaper while comforting her. Returning to the kitchen, the baby food clearly looks different. Susan, did you put something in this? Oh, I thought it needed some seasoning, so I add some salt and pepper. I said this is baby food, right? this is something that Erin will eat. Wow, such bland food is terrible. A baby's taste is different from an adult. She'll get used to adult seasoning eventually. Why not start now? I'll save you the trouble of making separate meals. I'm speechless. I can't believe she's seasoning Erin's food like it's meant for an adult. Realizing that she's not going to change her ways, I decide not to let her take care of Erin anymore. When she visits, I assign her tasks that won't cause any harm. Kelly, what can I help with? Well, maybe you could push Erin's stroller when we go for a walk. What? Just that? You should rely on me more. Yes, thank you. Your feelings alone are enough. Okay. Despite her dissatisfaction, she keeps visiting and I let her play with Erin while keeping a close eye on them. As Erin grows older, Susan does prove helpful in keeping her occupied while I handle household chores. But I may have been a bit complacent in my daily life. Kelly, when's the last time you went to the salon? Not since Erin was born. See, I'll watch Erin. Why don't you go during that time? But it's okay. Go. You need some time for yourself once in a while. Erin's already 1 year old. It's okay for her to have some time away from mom. Surely, once a baby hits her first birthday, the way you hold them and the attention to their meals isn't as critical. Maybe it wouldn't hurt to leave Erin with Susan for an hour or so while I go to the salon. Then I'll take you up on your offer. Erin is left in Susan's care at her place while I head off to the salon. However, once separated, I couldn't shake off my worries about my baby girl. Cutting my blow dry session short, I rushed to Susan's to collect Erin, only to find the parking spot where Susan's car should have been empty. A wave of unease hit me, and I hastily rang the doorbell, but to no avail. As I pulled out my phone to call Susan, I noticed a message from her. I'm going shopping with Erin. I won't be back until evening. So, Kelly, you can feel free to take a break and relax. I tried reaching Susan, but my calls went unanswered, probably because she was driving. That's when I remembered the GPS tag I had affixed to Erin's clothes as a safety measure. On checking the app, I noticed the GPS moving at a speed consistent with the car, heading in a specific direction. From the trajectory, it seemed like they were heading to the local department store. The GPS signal then halted in what looks like a department store's parking lot. Staring at the GPS, I exclaimed, "No way!" If my suspicions were correct, I'd never forgive Susan. I hastily hailed a taxi and sped off to the parking lot. It was 3 hours later when I finally saw Susan again. She was dumbfounded at the sight of me in the department store parking lot, holding Erin with our car nearby. Now surrounded by paramedics and police officers, its window broken. "What is this?" She managed to stammer out as she regained her composure and rushed towards me. "Wait a minute, Kelly. Why are you here? What happened to my car?" Doing my best to keep my anger in check, I explained calmly to her. "We rescued Erin." "Rescued? Wait a minute. How did you know that Erin and I were here?" "I attached a GPS tag to her for safety. After seeing your message, I immediately checked the location, so I knew you two were in this parking lot." "It's okay to go shopping? You didn't have to come." As I kept monitoring the GPS, Erin's location didn't move from the parking lot for more than 5 minutes. Clutching the worn-out, sleeping Erin, I continued in a tight voice. I feared that she might be left alone in the parking lot and rushed over. And then, I found Erin crying in the car. It's 95 Fahrenheit outside. The temperature inside a car left on a rooftop parking lot must be significantly higher. I thought Erin's life was in danger. So I tried to reach you to unlock the car, but you didn't respond to my calls. Susan hurriedly checked her phone, seeing my missed calls for the first time. "I didn't notice any calls while shopping. It's an exaggeration to say her life is in danger. It's better to let her sleep rather than wake her up and make her fussy. Exaggeration? The temperature inside a car during summer rises dramatically in just a few minutes. Leaving a child in such conditions can quickly lead to heart stroke. The paramedics around us nodded vigorously in argument with my words. Ma'am, the mother here did the right thing by calling 911 right away. We issued instructions to help her child as quickly as possible before we arrived. Instructions? Susan seemed confused, so I filled her in. The emergency crew instructed me to break the car window and unlock it, which is what I did. You broke the car window? So you made this mess? This is property damage. This car is brand new. You need to compensate me for this. A policeman nearby calmly responded to her. Breaking the window was the right action to save this child's life, and it falls under lawful self-defense. Therefore, it doesn't qualify as property damage. Self-defense? My car is ruined. I'll sue you. The one who might face legal repercussions is you. Leaving a small child inside a car in extreme heat could be viewed as neglect by a caregiver, which is a crime. What? What are you accusing me of? Don't you get it yet? You put a small child's life at risk. Hold on, I was just shopping. I would never dream of harming my own grandchild. We'll discuss this further at the station. Station? Why do I have to go there? Somebody, please help. Despite her protest, Susan was escorted to the police station for further questioning. She had completely forgotten about Erin because she was sleeping quietly when she left. Even at the police station, she continued making excuses. However, after checking the driver's recorder on the car, we quickly realized she was lying. If she's asleep, there's no need to take her along. She would have just gotten in the way while shopping. Sleep well, Erin. These words confirmed that she had intentionally left Erin in the car. Caught in her own web of lies, she then argued that she didn't think leaving Erin in the car could endanger her life. Such a plea was swiftly dismissed, and she was held in custody. After it was determined that Erin's life wasn't in danger, she was released without charges. My father-in-law Paul directed her to come straight to our house. He assumed she would apologize to Erin and me first, but upon arriving at our house, she lashed out at me instead. Thanks to you, Kelly. I had a terrible day. I'm relieved I wasn't charged, but what you did to a grandmother who was helping with childcare. You're the worst daughter-in-law. She showed no remorse for her actions. Helping with childcare? Erin almost lost her life. Unfazed, she retorted. In the end, she's fine and happy. I did nothing wrong. Yes, I was held in custody. All because you made a big fuss, Kelly. As I stood there in disbelief, unable to respond in a triumphant manner. Honey, tell her not to stir up family trouble anymore. That's when he spoke up. The one disturbing the family is you, Susan. You endangered a precious grandchild and show no sign of remorse. I can't stay with a person like that. I want a divorce. Wait a minute. What are you talking about all of a sudden? If being detained has made you change your attitude, I thought I could support you. But you show no remorse. I can't even imagine wanting to be with someone like you. What? John? You are on your mom's side, right? You've always been diligent at your job. You'd understand my feelings, right, John? I appreciate all the hard work you put in for our family, Mom. But I can't overlook you blaming Kelly, especially when it endangered our precious daughter. His stern words left his mother realizing she was alone in her corner, leading her to lash out in frustration. What is it with you all people? If you want a divorce, fine. But I bought this house. If anyone's leaving, it should be you. In response to her outburst, Paul retorted. What are you talking about? You're the one who didn't want your earnings spent on a mortgage and insisted the house be put under my name. Actually, I paid a mortgage entirely from my salary. So if someone has to leave, it should be you. Susan shuddered as she seemed to remember her past actions. Well, maybe you did pay the mortgage, but I contributed to the living expenses too. I also put half my earnings toward living expenses. Maybe you don't understand this, Susan, since you've never managed household finances. What? I thought the household couldn't run without me. I appreciated how energetic you were at work, Susan, so I willingly took on the household chores and raising our child. But in hindsight, we should have co-parented, regardless to how busy we were. John, looking thoughtful, suddenly turned to me and began. I regret not being more involved in Erin's upbringing, even if it's too late now. If I had stood up to my wife and your influence on her sooner, Erin might not have been in such danger. Why is everyone siding with Kelly? Are you choosing Kelly over your wife? Me? It's not about choosing. I just can't live with you anymore, Susan. Despite her attempts to convince Paul to reconsider divorce, it was clear his decision was firm. After the divorce, Susan was forced to move out and rented a cheap apartment in the suburbs, where she led a lonely retirement. After this ordeal, John became more involved in raising our child. Kelly, I'm truly sorry. I'll let you handle the hardest parts alone. But from now on, I want to step up as a husband and a father. Can you give me another chance? Are you sure? Yeah. I plan to contribute more as well. John, thank you. From then on, he made a point to balance his time between work and family, cherishing his moments with Erin and me. And now, we're expecting another addition to our family. Back when I was raising Erin on my own, I couldn't imagine having the bandwidth to raise another child. But with John by my side now, I'm confident we can properly raise Erin and the baby that's on the way, as a team. Moving forward, with John by my side, I renew my commitment to raising our children properly.